It's time to step behind the scenes and take a closer look at the Owen Sound Attack. This is Bear Tracker Weekly. Here's your host, JC Coots.
Well, hello and welcome to Season 2, Episode 5 of the Bear Tracker Weekly podcast. It has been a great week. Rivalry week in the OHL officially has wrapped up, and the Owen Sound Attack got to see two pretty close rivals. Starting on Wednesday night, a 6-0 victory over the Barrie Colts. A big shutout for Carter George. I think that was his first since January of 2024, if I'm not mistaken. But congratulations, Carter. The whole team looked great on Wednesday night at the Bayshore against the Colts. Then on Friday, the team hit the road to Guelph to start a home-and-home, and great goal scoring continued for the Owen Sound Attack. They popped 6 in on the Guelph Storm, skate away with a 6-3 victory. Guelph returned the favor by the exact same score the following night at the Bayshore. So a split with the Storm, a win against Barrie, and 2 out of 3 ain't bad, as the great philosopher Meatloaf once said. A pretty good week all in all for the Owen Sound Attack. And for us, a very busy episode this week. It is jam-packed. You might want to give yourself some time because we have a lot of guests this week. First off, our good friend Arien Mousseau is back for another edition of Moose on the Loose. We're going to talk about the U17 tournament that's coming up. Of course, Max DeLille of the Owen Sound Attack was named to Team Canada Red this week. And we'll talk about some of the players to watch at this year's U17s, which are going to start first week of November. So coming up very, very quickly here, Max DeLille will be shipping off to join Team Canada in Nova Scotia. Also on the podcast this week, with the Guelph Storm being in town on Saturday night, we got to meet one of the new voices in the Ontario Hockey League, the new radio play-by-play voice of the Guelph Storm, Dylan Baker. He's a very interesting dude. I had a conversation with him at the Bayshore on Saturday night. Plus, a couple players will join us this week. John Banks, who's been outstanding to start the season on the blue line for the Attack. He's going to be here, along with Noah Nelson, an overage pickup from Brantford, who has also really been great for the Owen Sound Attack, starting to shape into a bit of a role player for the team, but he's also popping in a goal here or there. And we'll learn more about Noah Nelson coming up on the show. Reagan O'Grady, the assistant coach, will join us this week. Plus, the Media Room Roundtable will once again get together to discuss some things about the Owen Sound Attack. It is a busy episode. Strap in. Here we go. Episode 5 starts now. Our first guest this week is a media interview. We haven't done a media interview yet this season, but this is one of the new voices in the OHL, the radio play-by-play voice of the Guelph Storm, replacing the legendary Larry Malott, who retired after last season. Dylan Baker. He is just 19 years old, but has been calling hockey and sports since he was 13, and he already sounds like he's been doing it for 20 years. He is a real talent and definitely going to be someone to watch as the years go by and he continues to develop. But he's already a couple of weeks into his first season in the Ontario Hockey League, and I had a chance to catch up with Dylan and learn more about him at the Bayshore before the Attack's loss to Guelph on Saturday night. Here with Dylan Baker, who is the new radio voice of the Guelph Storm. Now, Dylan, we have a rule on this podcast. Every time a guest is brand new, we always ask the same questions. Where did you grow up, and what first made you fall in love with hockey?
You know what? I grew up in London, Ontario, born and raised there. What made me fall in love with hockey, it's a funny story, actually. Nobody in my family was really big on hockey. We were more of a baseball family. And then my grade 3 teacher, Mr. James Bannon, at my elementary school, he showed us a ton of hockey games at the Sochi Olympics that year. And it was really cool for us to all get invested as a class. He was a big Montreal Canadiens fan. So that's kind of when I fell in love with the game and haven't looked back since.
Now, if you're right away trying to guess Dylan's age, you're going to have it wrong because you're only 19. Is that right?
That is correct. 19 years old, yeah.
You got started really young. I thought I got started young at 16, but you started at 13 with the Komoka Kings. Is that right?
Yes, I did. Komoka Kings, former team of Matthew Kaprowski down here in Owen Sound. Yeah, I got started in Komoka when I was 13 years old, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. And the past 6 years in Komoka have been really special for me. I've really enjoyed them.
It's funny that you're the new voice, the radio voice, of course, replacing Larry Malott, which obviously those are big shoes to fill. But there's a thing, us radio program directors, they say that we know within 5 seconds when you hear someone's voice whether or not they're perfect for the job. And I saw you put a video up on social media just when the season started. I went, that's a good choice. That guy is, you are polished like a 20-year veteran, and you've only been doing this since you were 13, which is incredible. Tell me what it's like to have to come in and replace a legend in this league like Larry.
You know what? It's not easy because Larry is so beloved, right? And Larry is a legend. You said it right, JC. I mean, he's been doing it for such a long time. He's been so good. He's been an iconic voice in the Guelph community that everybody has really grown to love over the years. So it hasn't been easy filling his shoes, but you know what? I can't be Larry Malott, right? There is only one Larry Malott, and he was iconic for the 30-plus years that he was doing it in the Guelph area. And now it's my job to just call Guelph Storm hockey and make sure the fans at home can get as close to the action as possible.
They say that obviously for players to jump up from that level to this level is a big change. Was it a big change for you as a broadcaster to switch from that level of hockey up to the OHL?
It was definitely an adjustment. You know what? It's faster in the OHL, that's for sure. The players are certainly more skilled. I think one of the bigger adjustments for me was switching to radio because I'd never really done radio full time. It was either, TV, a stream on Flow Hockey, or a simulcast of TV and radio, where usually TV takes precedent, right? So it was different for me to get into a radio environment and call a game radio style. It was a new experience for me, but it's something I've really enjoyed.
Let's talk about the Guelph Storm, the team that you're the voice of on radio now. What do you think of the team? Who do you like so far? Who's impressed you from that team? Because there's a few new faces on Guelph this year.
There are a lot of new faces for the Storm this year, and you know what? They're a young team, right? They're a very young squad. Jaakko Weissek has been a real name to watch for this team. He's got 6 goals in 10 games so far as a 16-year-old. Had 2 goals last night at the Sleeman Center. He's been a really impressive player, and that's not to say there haven't been growing pains, because there certainly have been with any young player. Weissek's been really good, though, with 6 goals in 10 games. And his line mate tonight, Carter Stevens, another guy who's had a really good year. He's got 11 points, leads the team in scoring this season. It's his NHL draft year. It's a big year for him, and he seems to have appreciated that fact and has really taken a step in his game this season. Has been an exciting player to watch.
You've got, right now, the Guelph Storm, not you personally, but the Guelph Storm have a bid in to host the Memorial Cup up against the Kitchener Rangers. Kitchener obviously has a bigger building, but Guelph's is newer, has a little bit more character to it. You kind of have to think that the Storm are due for something like that. How incredible would it be to find out in what will be your second season next year that you might be hosting the Memorial Cup?
That would be unbelievable. That would be unbelievable. I mean, the city of Guelph is really excited about this possibility. It's something that I know that everybody in the community is really wanting, and they're really trying hard to get the Memorial Cup to come to Guelph. It's been a long time since it's been in the Royal City, right? So everybody's really excited about that. It's no secret. It's not going to be easy going up against the Kitchener Rangers, such a storied franchise, one that has had a ton of success over the years, and they've certainly put in a good bid as well. But Guelph is confident, they're hopeful, and they're excited. And I think, you know what, as a broadcaster, it gets me excited to think about the possibility of hosting the Memorial Cup in my second year with the team.
Do you have any insider information? What is this decision being made? How much longer are they going to make you wait before they tell you who's getting this Memorial Cup bid?
I don't have any insider info. All I know is that in past years, the decision usually comes down in late November, early December. So we should know relatively soon whether Guelph will be hosting in 2027.
If it happens to be that, and the team's going to be playing in it, obviously they're going to need a few more pieces, but based on what you've seen this year, is this team kind of on that trajectory where they might just naturally be competitive by next season, do you think?
I think we are seeing growth in a lot of these young players, right? They've got a lot of 2007-born players on this team. By that point next year, they will be 19-year-olds, right? And so they will be a little bit more experienced. We'll have some more games in the OHL under their belt. They're certainly taking strides. They're still a young group. They're a skilled group, and they're picking up pieces. I look at the acquisition of Patrick Babin earlier this week from the Brantford Bulldogs. The Storm power play has struggled this year. Babin is a dynamic offensive defenseman, right? He is somebody who can get the job done offensively from the blue line, which is something the Storm are really looking for. So I think they're going to continue to supplement the roster, and Memorial Cup or not next year, I think they're going to be going for it.
You mentioned next year some of those guys are going to be 19, which is your age now. What's it like to be working with a group of guys that are about your age, some of whom the overagers are older than you are? Is it easier because you're kind of on their level age-wise, or is it a bit more awkward because you're kind of on their level age-wise?
You know what? It's been interesting for me because when I started in Kamoka, I was 13 and everybody was older than me, right? So it was different to interact with players that way. I think I've just become accustomed to it working in junior hockey over the past few seasons. It's something I've gotten used to. It's a unique experience, right? I can definitely relate to these guys a little bit more, and as I kind of get settled in with the team, maybe it's easier to build some of those relationships. But everybody's been super welcoming. I mean, the staff has been fantastic with the Storm, and the players have been really receptive to all the interviews and all the questions that I asked them.
What's the dream job for you in this industry? We all kind of have one in the back of our minds. I mean, listen, if Dean Brown, the radio play-by-play voice of the Ottawa Senators, ever retires, I'm throwing my name in there. But for you, what would the dream job be?
You know what? It'd be something along those lines, I think, in the National Hockey League. That's something that I've always wanted. Maybe getting to call an Olympic gold medal game featuring Team Canada. That would be the ultimate dream, but that's a long ways away, right? And I think for me, growing up, a dream was to call games in the OHL, right? I watched a ton of OHL games as a kid once I fell in love with the game back in the third grade. And for years, I've wanted to be in this league. So it's thrilling for me to be here right now. This is a dream come true, and I think, the ultimate dream would be to work in the NHL one day.
You're only a few years into your play-by-play career, first year in the OHL, and you already sound like a 20-year vet, so I think the future is going to be bright for you. I don't know how long we'll get to see each other in this league based on that potential trajectory, but it's great to meet you, Dylan. All the best this year on your first season in the Ontario Hockey League.
Thanks a lot, JC. All the best to you, too. Thanks for having me on.
John Banks has had a standout season already as a new member of the Owen Sound Attack and in his first season in the Ontario Hockey League. Last year he played in the BCHL, so obviously a bit of a change to come over to this level of hockey, but he looks like he belongs here. In fact, he looks like he's been here for a while. Already one of the leading defense scorers in the entire Ontario Hockey League. He's right up there in scoring and I believe still top 5. He scored his first goal last weekend, and on Saturday night, I got to have a chance to chat with him after the Attack's loss to Guelph. With John Banks, one of the new faces on the Owen Sound Attack. John, we do a thing on the podcast where whenever somebody is on for the first time, the questions are the same. So where did you grow up, and what first made you fall in love with hockey?
I grew up in Secaucus, New Jersey. It's just near the city, northern New Jersey. And, my dad got me into hockey when I was young. Started skating at 2, started playing hockey at 3. So, nice and young.
You got, before you came to the Owen Sound Attack and before you became a member of the Ontario Hockey League, you did a little bit of work out in the BCHL, I think with Sherwood Park, if I'm not mistaken. What was that experience like for you, for a kid from New Jersey getting to play up in Alberta?
It was very different scenery and stuff. But, I loved it a lot. We had a great team, super young, played great minutes, and, awesome coaches, awesome staff. Everything was great. I think it helped me to where I am today.
You come into the OHL, you join the Attack, and it looks like you have been playing here for years. Like your speed adjusted to the game very naturally. What was it like to make that transition from that league to this league? And were there anything that was a bit of a troublesome for you, or did it just naturally click because it looked like it was easy almost?
Thank you. Yeah. But I would say the transition was not the craziest because I think we have a great team here that helped me transition easier. But I would say the difference is there's more stars in this league and a little bit higher pace. But I like it a lot here.
I don't know what the coaching staff do they have the green light for you whenever you feel the need, if you want to lead a rush or if you want to try anything offensive? Is the green light always on for you to try something? Because it seems like you try a lot of new things in a game and they usually work out really well for you.
Yeah, I wish it was on all the time, but sometimes can't force the plays. I kind of just pick my spots. And so whenever I think there's a good opportunity to go and not have any odd rush man backs or anything. So that's when I usually try to go.
What's it like to be somebody new on this team? I know there's a few returning guys and obviously some pretty good voices in the room. Of course, you've got David Bedkowski, who's the captain this year. Carter George obviously is part of that leadership group. What was it like coming in as somebody new and also having a lot of new guys that were also kind of in the same boat that you're in?
Yeah, all the boys are super cool. They brought me in here, and everything's been great with them. Super nice, kind, and it's been a good fit so far. Yeah.
Next week, you're off on what's going to be the Attack's longest road trip of the season so far, and that's going to include a couple of games in the U.S. Is that a little bit different when you get to play a game on home soil?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just any other game, but yeah, it will be nice getting back into the States and stuff, play a game there. But yeah, it should just be another game for me, yeah.
Perfect. Well, it's been a lot of fun to watch you so far. I know you're right up there in defense scoring, which is pretty great for a first-year defenseman in the Ontario Hockey League. Best of luck to you and your teammates next week on the road.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Noah Nelson is one of the Attack's 3 overagers this year. He was acquired from the Brantford Bulldogs during the offseason. In fact, had spent his entire OHL career with the Bulldogs organization before becoming a member of the Attack. It seems like Noah Nelson is kind of a Scott Ray type of player. He definitely leads by example on the ice, and he's recently started to pop a few goals in the net. Here's my conversation with Noah Nelson after the game on Saturday.
Noah, first of all, get your thoughts on the game. You wrap up rivalry week, a pretty good record for the Attack, 2-1 and 9-3 in the first 12 games of the season, which is an amazing start. What's been your thoughts on this start with the Attack and what it's like now to be a new member of this team?
It's been good. Like I've said, it's hard coming to a new team after playing for 4 years, but the coaching staff, Razor, and everyone else, and the guys in the room have really been helpful and welcomed me in, and it's been quite a bit of a start. Definitely a long week, lots of tough games. Unfortunate that we couldn't get the one here today, but you know, like you said, we've had a good start, and I think we're going to keep that going on to next weekend.
When you were acquired after you spent your entire OHL career with the Bulldogs organization, of course, first in Hamilton, then in Brantford. Now you come here for your OA year in Owen Sound. Was there something that the coaching staff or the management talked to you about, any sort of a role they were expecting or what they were expecting of you when you joined the team? Because it's when you're an OA, it's a very specific role, at least it can be, and I'm sure there's a leadership component in it as well.
Yeah, of course. Like you said, I was in Hamilton and Brantford for 4 years, kind of playing that role on the third, fourth line. And I think Coach Razor saw that, and I think that's why he wanted me to bring me in. And, you know, I think I've worked well with the younger guys, welcome them in, making sure they're feeling comfortable. And, you know, like I understand as a 16-year-old, you're going to make mistakes, and you obviously feel pressure as well. So just making sure they're comfortable and stuff, I think that was the biggest thing coming in.
You've also started to find the back of the net in the last week or so here, and have now become a key contributor as well on this team. What's it feel like? Because you mentioned third or fourth liner for the most part with the organization. Here it seems like any line, regardless if it's the top line or the fourth line, is dangerous, and anybody can score on any given night with this team.
No, yeah, like you said, I think that's why we're winning, actually. We have 4 lines who are very strong. And yeah, I think that's why we've been so dominant the past couple weeks, and that's why our record shows. So, yeah.
You've got a big road trip coming up. It's going to be the Attack's longest road trip so far of the season, down to Windsor, a team that you've had success against. Saginaw, a team I'm sure the Attack wants some revenge against. And Flint, you'll see for the first time. What's it like on this road trip, and what advice would you give to the younger guys who are going to experience this for the first time with the team?
No, yeah. For younger guys, I guess it's more about staying together as a group. You know, road games aren't the funnest, but I don't know. I think we're going to do well. Like you said, we have Windsor's number as of right now, but I think going into the weekend we have to think more about our starts here, a little bit more structurally better in the D zone and stuff, and I think that will help us going into the weekend.
When you're a player in the OHL and you experience kind of a crazy schedule like the Attack have had, 5 games in 8 days, and it's still going to be crazy before the month ends, where you'll play a lot of games in a very short amount of time. As a player, do you change anything up? Are you taking longer, more naps on game days? Do you change up your meal plan? Do you do anything that you can to find any little bit of extra energy and give you a bit of a boost when you're using so much energy in a short amount of time?
No, yeah, I think over the last 4 years, I've learned about recovery a little bit more. I think that was my biggest thing, and that's what I can teach the younger guys too, is doing bike rides and stuff and flush rides and stuff like rolling out and stuff to be prepared for the next weekend.
Perfect. Well, Noah, it's been great to chat with you. Actually, I got one more thing, because I just remembered this is your first appearance on the podcast, so we always ask every player and guest the same question to start, which is, where did you grow up and what first made you fall in love with hockey?
I grew up in London, Ontario. What made me fall in love with hockey? I don't know. I think as a kid, and I think my mom can back this up, and my dad, I was always watching SportsCenter since I was like 3. They would turn it on, and I'd be really interested in it, and I think that's what grew me into this player. So yeah.
Perfect. Well, you're a fun player to watch, Noah. I'm sure it's bittersweet not being still a Bulldog, but I think you're finding quickly that the Attack fan base loves a guy like you that works hard and goes out every night and plays perfectly into the Scott Ray style of a system. So we're glad to have you here. Best of luck to you and your teammates on the upcoming road trip.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Rivalry week started out really well for the Owen Sound Attack, but unfortunately ended on a sour note with a loss at home. To get his thoughts on the game from the coach's perspective, here's Assistant Coach Reagan O'Grady.
Yeah, rivalry week comes to an end here. The Guelph Storm, it gets you on the second half of a home and home, each team winning by an identical score. Looked like the Attack had a few mistakes end up in the back of the net tonight. What were your thoughts on the game tonight?
Yeah, you know what? Like, we're not going to make excuses for ourselves. Obviously, 5 games in 8 days. It's tough on anybody, let alone junior hockey players. But yeah, you know, obviously 2 penalties. I know our captain David Bekowski wants back for sure. You can just see the body language. But you know what? It's one of those things that they capitalize on their chances. No different than us last night as well. Like, you know, it's a carbon copy of the games and the outcomes. But for us, it's about, you know, learning from this for sure. You could really feel it in the room after. These guys were super upset, but you know what? Like, hell of a week from our guys. Five games in 8 days. We go 4-1. There was no real pushovers. Obviously, it starts out with North Bay, you know, home and home. Then it gets to Barrie. Then it gets to Guelph. Like, we can't standing watch. It's junior hockey, and you know, for our guys, like, it was. We've earned the respect and the right to have the privilege to have teams try and come in and knock us off. And unfortunately, we came up on the wrong side of it tonight.
You mentioned the amount of games in a short stretch, and that's still the theme for the rest of October. It's a bit of a tough month schedule-wise for Owen Sound. What do you do with the players? What do you tell them? How do you tell them to work through that? And as a coaching staff, how do you adjust your lineup to try to help with the fatigue that might come with it?
Yeah, I think, you know what, just trying to get everybody in, like you say, and for us, it's a matter of taking days off when they need it. Obviously, it's a Sunday, Monday off for our guys to get ready for a 3-3 with travel next weekend. But you know what, like, we're in the driver's seat right now. We feel that you know, any given night, any of our guys coming into the lineup can play, and you know what, we're proud of where we're at right now. But you know, the job's not done, and we're going to continue to build. We're going to continue to push the envelope, and I think the more that we can, you know, use rest days as a weapon, especially early on in the season. Obviously, Noah Roberts coming out of the lineup this weekend, you know, just shows that you know, it's a lot of hockey in a short amount of time. So our guys are going to be able to play. You know, obviously you got 3 goalies for a reason. You've got 8 defensemen for a reason, and we're going to try and utilize everybody before we lose. Obviously, Max DeLille heading off to Team Canada.
That's right. That'll be happening at the end of the month as well, going to the U17s. Congratulations to Max. You mentioned some of the guys coming in and out of the lineup. I think I overheard Greg Cowan from the Sun-Times ask about Jacob Tyrion, so I'm just curious about when we might start to see him draw back into the lineup, and how's he doing?
Yeah, he just rejoined the team today. He's been at home dealing with some stuff, but no real timeline. It's going to be a process here. It's going to be day-to-day for him, so it's going to be all on how he feels. I can't pinpoint where that is, but I know that he's chomping at the bit to get back with the guys. You know, it's one of those things that even in his absence, a guy like Noah Roberts today and yesterday's absence, other guys have stepped up and have earned the opportunity, and you know, they're taking it and run with it, and that's going to be the theme this year is, you know, next man up on a good team. Anybody can play on any given night, and that's what we feel as a staff, and I know that's what our players feel for sure.
First really long road trip of the season coming up. Obviously, with a team with a lot of new faces, road trips can be a really good thing when it comes to bonding and learning about each other and getting closer as a group. Seems like the team's already pretty close, but any special things that are planned for this trip to really bring these guys together?
Well, I think we saw on social media we had a really fun one in North Bay. Obviously, Betsy putting the golf club through the kitchen. But no, you know what? It's business next weekend. 3-3, short time. Really kind of 3 and 2.5. We're going to win 3 hockey games, and that's going to be the mindset. I know that these guys are going to be ready for it. But you know what? I know that we'll have some time on the bus to be able to hang out, and you know, Shazi does a great job with our meals, so we're looked after that way. But you know, it's junior hockey. If we can put up some points early on in the season and kind of carry the wave, that's what we're going to look to do. So business as usual. Hopefully on the back end of coming home from Flynn, that's when we have a ton of fun, just like we do on Thursday when we leave here.
All right, well, best of luck to you and the team on the upcoming road trip, Coach.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Well, there were a couple of changes for the Media Room Roundtable this week. First off, the table was in a different room at the Bayshore, in a much smaller room. You're going to notice the background's a little bit different this week. That is because there was a cat show that took over the Bayshore. I think this is the 3rd year in a row, at least in my time working on the Attack broadcast crew, that we've been bumped because of the cat show. So glad to know that it's been a big success in Owen Sound. Also, you'll notice that Mark McKelvey was unable to be with us on Saturday night at the game. That's okay, though. It's a 4-headed monster this week. Greg Cowan, myself, Spencer Byers, and Matt Hermes. Here is the Media Room Roundtable.
The Attack 6-3 winners last night. They are rolling right now on a 5-game winning streak.
That's right.
About that?
That's
it's 5
yeah.
now. This is a team that looks legit, guys. In fact, even our good friend Mike Farwell from the Kitchener Rangers made this the topic of his Farwell Friday, where he said that the Owen Sound Attack are legitimate. So we've now had 11 games to see this team, and I think start spreading the news. This team might be a team that challenges for the Midwest Division title this year.
Was that a Jays reference?
It was a slight Jays reference. Thank you for picking that up. I kept it clean, though, for the podcast.
It's okay, Spencer.
Tie for the division. It's okay, guys. Should have been game 163. Hey, we're almost at the Blue Jays lose.
Let's move on.
That's not funny.
You can't throw stuff from the sand like that.
So are they legit? Is this a team that at the end of this could find themselves atop the Midwest?
I think you just have to like what you're seeing so far. I've said it before. It's a long season. They're 11 games in. So far, so good, right? The offense has been rolling. They've scored 5+ goals in 8 of 11 games this season. Top power play in the OHL, top 5 penalty kill, and we know the goaltending is deep and anchored by the top junior hockey goalie in Canada, in Carter George. So that's a lot of good things that are, that the Attack have, and you like to think that things will keep going as they are, but it's a long season. I'm not saying that things will turn for the worse, but they're going to face adversity more so than they have over the last 5 games at some point this season. So will they finish atop the Midwest? That's an impossible question to answer until we get to January, I think, and get a real good look at what not just the Attack roster looks like, but other rosters around the Ontario Hockey League. But certainly, I think that are they legit? I would answer that question and say, yeah, this team has shown that they have a lot of depth and can compete any night, and it's hard to think of any reason why whoever they're playing against, they don't have a chance to win.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes it's preseason expectation, right? The Attack were ranked 16th in the OHL preseason rankings, which I know is not exactly indicative of the whole league's expectation, but I'd say here in Owen Sound, at least for me, it was I want to see it on the ice. A lot of new guys. Everyone's got a lot of new guys, so I want to see what it looks like on the ice. And so far, they passed the test. So sometimes I feel like we look at preseason rankings or we make a preconceived notion of a team and that's what they are, and we have to sometimes say, okay, but let's go up to the helicopter and look at the forest from the trees and go, okay, what does the team actually look like on the ice, which is really, really good. And that's all we can look at and say, well, that's what we've observed. So I have to just kind of end my very, very weirdly staged monologue with, I think this team is really, really good. I think this team will stay really, really good, and I think that we need to maybe temper that with we didn't know what this team was going to look like before. We've now seen it on the ice, and it's very, very good. And we have to continue with just not looking at a preconceived notion from the preseason.
That's right. I'm sorry. The last minute, I'm still trying to process. What was it? In the helicopter and look at the forest from the trees? Like that was a good one.
Greg, Cowan, any
analogies? You're going to fall over.
I got it. It makes sense. I got to think about it a little bit. It makes sense. I had this team 7th in the Western Conference in my OHL media poll, and it was hard to do the OHL media poll. I've nailed it every year.
He's got the archive.
But this year, you didn't know how guys like John Banks were going to come in, or Nick Glisicor, or even Michael Deck, who only had his 10 game, looked really good, but was going to be able to carry that through a full 68 game season. And all these questions that you were hoping, if you're an Attack fan, was a resounding yes, have been a resounding yes. I can't think of one guy who's come in and you're thinking we should have got a bit more from him. Everyone's, and I keep thinking to myself, is this the ceiling? Is this a stepping stone to a really, really good team? Or is this sort of a blip on the radar and they settle back in or come back down to life a little bit? I can't answer that question. If you want to answer, I don't think they finished top in the Midwest this year. But I had them 7th. They're looking a lot better than that, and a lot of guys are playing a lot better than that, and I think a lot of people expected.
So if you don't think they finished top in the Midwest, that means that your preseason prediction was probably Kitchener, and you still think the Rangers are better? Or are you saying that you're more buying London's 6-game unbeaten streak? Or is that what you're saying?
I honestly can't. I think I had Kitchener 1, London 2. I can't remember. I'd have to see it.
I'll say that in my preseason media poll, my kind of prediction for the Attack was that if things go well, they can host a home playoff, have a home playoff series, and I think that that means anywhere in the top 4. So I don't know how things shake out, but I still think that they've shown that they're a competitive team.
And I was thinking about that today. They're 9-2, right? So they could just play decent the rest of the year and be competing for a home playoff spot. This start, and if they keep rolling it forward and get a bit more wins in there, you're talking about just you don't have to play this well for the rest of the season to play a playoff game, get home ice advantage. You can, it's that goal with this hot start is definitely there for them.
You see that all the time in baseball and stuff where teams have really hot starts for the first month to 3 months and then kind of go back to middling 500 ball and get a chance to be a top seed in the division because it's just really hard to go on those really big runs of winning 10, winning 12 in baseball, for example, but in hockey, winning 8, winning 9. The Attack are on 5, they're 9-2.
Well, what happened last year at this time? 8-game losing streak, pretty much, right?
Exactly.
8-game losing streak, exactly. And there was some hard feelings, and there was some.
But it's a different team, right? That's the way I look at it. There was a lot of turnover in the offseason. You named some of the names, and Nick Sikora and John Banks are a couple. There's guys like Michael Deck who are playing full seasons, and other names on the Attack roster that just weren't here last year. So, and not to mention the guys that did come back have really taken good steps for this team. Some of the forwards, Tristan DeLille, leading the OHL in scoring, entering today's game as the Attack are getting set to take on the Guelph Storm in the tail end of this back-to-back. Harry Nancy, Jake Crawford, all the guys that were here have taken internal steps forward, and then as a team, there's things like the power play. I think you were hoping for better, but it's literally the best in the OHL. So will that normalize? I don't know. Or maybe their power play is just really good now, right? So everything that could go right has gone better than you could have expected through the first 11 games, and that's a good thing, though. So there's nothing to nitpick about, really. It's just will it play out over 68 games? It's you don't know, but it's hard to find reasons to be pessimistic right now.
And so also, did you guys answer? Do you think they're finished top, or is the
I said that it's impossible for me to make a prediction until January because I still think that. We've talked about this before, and I hate that we talk about it during every. I think that it matters who their number one goaltender is in the new year. So, and it also matters if the team makes additions and what other teams make additions or subtractions. So, I don't think it's. I think it's a fool's game to make predictions regardless, but it's a fun one because I like looking stupid sometimes. And but certainly it's extremely difficult to do in this league before you get to about Christmas time.
Well, if you ask me any pave, I look stupid all the time on my own show, so I'll just say yes. I think the Attack win the Midwest Division, and I'm happy to be the optimist of the group.
Nothing to do with your hairstyle.
It has nothing to do with my hairstyle. He usually wants me to put it on the show, but
so that's one yes, one no, and ask me at game 67.
And a maybe.
Hey,
but
I did make a bold prediction about goal scorers, Greg, and I still stand by
that's
it.
Big,
you guys mentioned a lot of the names that have come in and made a big difference, and I think that they were, at least when Dale went out and acquired them, were expected to be difference makers. But the secondary moves, the unsung heroes, guys like Noah Nelson, who has just come to life in the last couple of weeks. We don't have Jacob Therrien, but he was an unsung hero heading into his injury. It just looks like every move that Dale has made thus far has been paying off. Maybe I would say maybe even greater than he thought it would. Was this just a really good year for Dale? Is he lucky, or is he that smart?
Can you be both?
You can be both.
Like, I mean, when you get Cole Zarowski for Sam McHugh, that's a great trade. When you get David Bukowski and Tristan DeLille for Kobe Barlow, that's now, looking back at it, a great trade, right? Like, you don't know that in the time. You don't know that these trades are going to work out in the way that they do, of course. You have to kind of wait and see how those young guys and those draft picks work out. And so far, both hits. Both really good. And now Jacob Therrien comes. The draft picks we'll see for North Bay if that trade works for them. They got Noah Roberts as well. So I think Dale's done really smart, savvy trades, especially this year with Therrien and Roberts specifically, but also got Mason Ray last year. And I just think a lot of this is clicking at the start of the season, which usually it takes time for all these new guys to kind of fit in. And usually you see a month and a half of teams trying to figure out what lines and what guys they like. This year, the Attack of basically from the moment the season started, they are what they'd hope to be mid-season maybe, which is why, as you guys talked about, is this the peak and we're going to see a come down where they kind of find their more standard. But as Greg mentioned, this also could be the standard and there's another level we hit, which again is, as we all could say, very shocking to think about, because how much better could this team get? I don't know, because again, they've been so good the first 11 games.
I would think some of the credit goes to the coaching staff insofar as they have a clearly defined way of playing the game that Dale can go, and he mentioned this when he was at the draft, that he can say, okay, I'm looking for a Scott Ray type of player, and bring them in, and they fit into that system, and they go out and play their game, which I have to imagine if you ask Dale if that's an easier way to build a roster out, he'd say yes, because you can go say, you look at a Noah Nelson and be like, you know what, I can see him on Scott Ray's fourth line, bring some leadership. Jacob Therrien, well, Scott Ray had him in North Bay. I can see him fitting in nicely on this team, rather than just trying to put a bunch of talented players together and hope they all convalesce. It's the way good franchises operate. You have a way of playing, and you get players that fit that style, rather than going out and throwing darts on a board. And I think the coaching staff, I'm just calling it Scott Ray's coaching staff, out of ease, but I think the assistants get a lot of credit too, just for having that style of play that you can go get players for, rather than trying to get players and put them all together and hope it all works.
Matt, I don't know if there's a General Manager of the Year award, but it's not an easy gig in the OHL. It's not an easy gig when you're a small market GM, but is Dale right now the cream of the crop when it comes to being a General Manager in this league?
Wow, that is a very direct question you just asked me there, eh?
Figured I put the pressure on you.
I think, once again, Dale DeGray's done a great job with complementing his roster. I think some of the big offseason additions that he made, first of all, I'll just speak to where the Attack are and where they were. So I think that Dale was crafty in effectively transitioning from the last cycle of the Owen Sound Attack, which I'll just name some names, Kobe Barlow, Cedric Guindon, those sorts of guys, and transitioning out of that cycle well last year, still getting a team that managed to make the postseason, and picking up some top young talent. I think you can't understate the addition of Cole Zarowski last season, making that transaction. It gave the Attack 2 top 7 picks from the 2024 OHL priority selection. And then the way he worked in the offseason, I think the addition of Nick Sikora was very big, and that helped really lengthen out the Attack lineup and also help bring John Banks here. So things worked really well in the offseason. I think that he did well to transition his roster, and it still fits in the window of having the top goaltender in junior hockey, and more decisions for him to make this year as that unfolds. So, yeah, you're asking me if he's going to win the GM of the Year award. Is there a GM of the Year? Is that even an award in the OHL? I don't remember voting.
Is there a media poll for that?
Yeah, I can't recall, actually.
Well, we can start one, can't we?
I will say, like, we'll see in game 67. I'll be more comfortable
game
67.
That's again 2 non-answers. Although he did ask you only directly.
Yeah. What do you think?
But can I just pick up one thing Matt said, because I think it's really important, especially in this new OHL with the NCAA agreement, is recruiting is going to be a huge job for the GM, and he got Sikora over here and John Banks, who were both property of the Sioux City Musketeers of the USHL. John Banks was an 8th overall pick, had the call the draft pick, introduced him to his fans. He They
That's
both
what
could have
I'll
been playing
give
in the
Dale.
USHL,
Yeah.
and they're playing in Owen Sound.
I'll
so
give
that's a
him the
big-
most credit for that, for being very adaptable and open to embrace the new change. And didn't even
Lenny
mention
Greenberg.
Lenny Greenberg is another one. So the Attack have many players on their roster that have NCAA commitments, and Dale was willing to do that and quickly mine and improve his team through that area. So I give him credit for being adaptable and supplementing the roster through that, and not every team's done that. So that is something that he deserves a lot of high praise for.
All right, guys. Well, a couple of things are about to happen. Number one, we're about to run out of battery power, and also Matt and Greg need to get upstairs for their pregame show on CFOS. Spencer and I need to go and
You're
take
now
game
the
notes.
co-host of the pregame show. How did you pull that off so
Cowan's
fast?
Corner. You got to tune in for Cowan's Corner. It's a hit. Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much for all the great thoughts and the banter. And we'll see you again, not next week, because I believe the Attack are on the road. So we'll be back here in a couple of weeks.
Go Jays, go. Thanks, JC.
Well, we promised to make this a bi-weekly segment on the podcast, and very excited to now get officially in to Moose on the Loose. Arien Mousseau, our good friend, joins us from Windsor to talk about the upcoming U17 Hockey Challenge, featuring two Canadian teams, Team Canada Red and White, a member of the Owen Sound Attack in Max DeLille, and some other very talented hockey players from around the world. Here's Arien Mousseau, Moose on the Loose, as we talk about the upcoming U17 tournament. And he is back, another episode of Moose on the Loose, starring our good friend, Arien Mousseau. Arien, how are you today, sir?
Things are good. Things are busy in the Moose Land. Just moved into my new place right now, so that's where I'm at right now. On the weekend, it's been a busy couple of days, but looking forward to the next chapter of my life.
That's awesome. It's always fun when you get to move into the first place, and I know that right now you have a less than ideal setup, but we won't talk about that. It's just the pre-setup until the real fun begins. But glad you're in and safe and sound, and glad you're back to join us this week for Moose on the Loose. And this week you wanted to turn the focus to the U17 tournament that's coming up November 2nd through the 8th. This tournament actually is taking place in Canada, in Truro, Nova Scotia. They'll be the hosts this year for the 6 teams that will compete, 2 of which are Canadian teams, Canada Red and Canada White. Let's talk about those Canadian teams. We do know that one of the members of Canada Red is an Owen Sound Attack, so I'm guessing that's one of your players to watch, Arien.
Yes, it is indeed. Max DeLille is going to be representing Canada. But before we get to that point, let's just talk about the tournament as a whole. It's gone. The U17s has been a championship. It's not an IHF championship, so where the players play, and one of the players that I'm going to talk about isn't really indicative of what country they may represent in the future as well. It started off a while ago, and I remember when it came to Windsor the Windsor area, Nathan McKinnon was playing for Team Atlantic, and then there was Team BC, and there was the Team West, and then Team Ontario. So it's really changed its dynamic since some 15 years ago. Now we just have 2 teams representing Canada at this U17 championship. It's going to be in Truro, Nova Scotia from November 2nd to the 8th. And all 40 players that will be representing Canada have been drafted to the CHL. Only 4 currently aren't on rosters, one being a defenseman that plays for the London Nationals in the GOHL, and then 3 goaltenders. And that isn't very uncommon for goaltenders not be playing as a 16-year-old in the CHL. As many of the fans know, it takes a few years before a goaltender really steps up and shines in the crease in the CHL. So that's just a little bit. And then there's so the teams will be Sweden, Canada Red, Canada White, Finland, Czechia, and the US of A. So 6 teams competing for the championship this time around. And now let's go into the nitty-gritty of Moose's 5 players to watch at this championship representing Canada. And number 1, let's stay home in Owen Sound. Let's talk a little bit about Max DeLille. 1 goal, 4 assists in 12 games so far, wearing the Bears crest. It's tough for a 16-year-old, just like all these 16-year-olds. It's tough to really crack a roster spot, let alone be an impact player so early on in the season. Now, this tournament, like I've said, is coming in November. Short window to make yourself known in your hometown team. Now you're going to go put on the Canadian logo. It's even tougher. But you're playing against kids that are your own age. So for him, a 6'1", 184-pound power forward who had 188 points last season, I expect big things from Max DeLille for Canada Red. And he should get power play time and penalty kill time, as Owen Sound has really, they breed and nurture that two-way style of game. A few years back, you saw Colby Barlow be with Denver Barkey on the penalty kill. Last season, Pierce Bowie was on the penalty kill as well for the U17. So that does not, it won't surprise me if Max DeLille has a little PK time for Canada Red. So that's really where I see Max. I'm not too sure if he will be the go-to guy when it comes to needing to score a goal. But if it comes to a point where they need a guy in front of the net tipping pucks or laying big hits late in games, being that energizer guy, Max DeLille can definitely be that guy. Playing with the Toronto Titans last year, I was able to go catch a couple of his games against his peer group, and boy, oh boy, did he use his physical presence against his peers. So I look forward to that from Max DeLille of the Owen Sound Attack. The next guy on my list, JC, first overall pick in the queue last season to the St. John Sea Dogs, Alexis Joseph, a 6'4", 200-pound beast, is playing for the Sea Dogs. He's playing on Canada Red as well. And what I like about his game is he's always been a clutch player throughout his entire life. And this is going all the way back to the Quebec Pee Wee tournament. His team was down 4-3 with just a couple minutes left. Alexis Joseph scores the game tying goal, puts it to overtime, and wins the Quebec Pee Wee tournament in overtime. His coach, Jason Pominville, former Buffalo Sabre, had coached him all the way up through minor hockey, says that he is the most NHL-ready player he's ever coached or seen at that level. So, I mean, at 6'4", 200 pounds, he's ready to go, and he should be the key guy on Canada Red. 4 goals and 3 assists in 10 games for the Sea Dogs this season. So he's been looked up and on a path towards the NHL, and this is just a stepping stone for Alexis Joseph. So look for that big, rangy, left-handed centerman to lead the way offensively for Canada Red. My next player to watch, Maddox Schultz of the Regina Pats. So Maddox Schultz, exceptional talent, was granted exceptional status into the WHL, but did not take it. The WHL has this new rule, JC, which is kind of cool. A player can choose to go and play 34 games with the team and play at his own age level. So he's playing for the Regina Pats. He's a Regina-born kid, has played AAA for the Regina Pats franchise or AAA system for his entire life. Grew up loving who else but Connor Bedard, who was a Regina Pat himself, was granted exceptional status, and just 4 assists in 7 games so far for the Pats, but he's lighting up his AAA team. So he's been getting those offensive touches, getting those minutes. So I really like his decision. He noted in an interview that he wanted to get some playing time, and he wasn't sure if he would get that full-on playing time as a 15-year-old in the WHL. So he's like, I'll take this hybrid system, and I will continue to have my offensive touches while getting some playing time in the WHL. And now he's going to represent Canada White. Had 93 points as a 14-year-old playing U18 last year.
Wow.
So just to put that into perspective, that's a grade 9 going against grade 12s, and he had 93 points.
That's crazy.
Just insanity. So that's the next big kid. He played in the TELUS Cup, which is the midget or the U18 AAA nationals last season. Yeah, 7 games, 20 points.
Wow.
9 goals, 11 assists.
Ridiculous.
So this kid is the real deal. He'll be the one guy to really watch underage at this tournament as well. He's going to really make a name for himself at the U17s this season. I am sure of it. I'm going to go and like it's hard to. I should have really kept him for last if I was really smart, but nobody said I was the smartest or sharpest tool in the shed. So, but I'm going to go with another one. A player, my next player is on Canada White as well, and he might be the next Carter George per se, the guy that Canada relies upon in net. And his name is Sam Berthiaume. And I actually was at a wedding this summer in Halifax. This kid is from the Nova Scotia region, and the person that I was sitting beside was actually his neighbor. I got to talking with him, saying that I broadcast for the Owen Sound Attack. He's like, well, you got to check out this kid, Sam Berthiaume. So I look him up, 2nd round pick to Cape Breton Eagles, and 25th overall, the first goaltender picked in the Q draft. Sure enough, he had spectacular numbers, over 930, save percentage in the 3s and goals against. And this kid's story is kind of particular because he wanted to play in the NCAA. His parents are both school teachers. I believe that was what was told to me, and they wanted him to go the NCAA route. So he moved from Nova Scotia last year to the United States, played at South Kent and prep school, and was doing rather well there, and he was going to go on that trajectory to the NCAA. Well, with the rule changes, he comes back to Canada to play this season in the Maritimes Junior Hockey League. Who is he playing for? The team in Truro, where the tournament is being held. So I firmly believe that Sam Berthiaume, will be the starting goaltender for Team White, and Maddox Schultz is on that team. A whole bunch of OHL guys, Caden McGregor, Ryerson Edgar, Brock Chitteroni are all on that team. So for me, Canada White is the team to watch out for. And Sam Berthiaume, I haven't even said his size or his weight. 6'5", 195 pounds at the age of 16 already. So he's already got that frame that scouts covet to go deep and to potentially make it to the NHL, because one of their famous lines is big goalies accidentally stop pucks. So when you put that into perspective, Sam might be the best chance to represent Canada at the U18s and World Juniors going forward for this age group. And he's currently playing, like I said, in the Maritimes Junior Hockey League, so not with the Cape Breton team in the QMJHL, but most goalies this age, Gavin Betts was playing for the Aurora Tigers last season in the U17 championships. So they're usually all take that same path to get there. And my last player, and I mentioned it at the start of my rant, was that it doesn't necessarily indicate where you will be representing your country, because this is not an IHF sanctioned event. It's son of former NHLer Adrian Aucoin, Caden Aucoin, playing for the Sarnia Sting. Now, what I find intriguing and noteworthy is that born in Scottsdale, Arizona, played his minor hockey for the Chicago Mission, has never really played in Canada per se. But his father, being Canadian, allows him to represent Canada with his dual citizenship. So this is a note. I'm making note of this because as a right-handed shot that's 6'2", 185 pounds, this could be a kid that plays for Canada going forward. Now, next season, does he make the U18 team, which is an IHF sanctioned event, or does he choose USA? He'll make the decision then. But this is a stepping stone to get his foot in the door for the Canada system. And I really wanted to see how he does and how he fares among his peer group in Canada. Currently, 10 games played for Sarnia, 0 goals, 0 assists. But the son of a former NHLer, I usually don't not bet on that kid. You look at what's going down in Owen Sound right now with Nicholas Sikora just lighting the lamp. I mean, I know they all want to create their own path, but you follow in your father's footsteps pretty well. Mm-hmm. Few honorable mentions that I would like to note, JC. Caden McGregor, as I noted, only 2 goals in 6 games for the Peterborough Petes. So maybe he goes and plays against his peer group and finds his scoring touch and brings that back to the OHL. First overall pick of the OHL in the OHL priority selection. Brock Chitteroni of the Ottawa 67s. He's been lighting the lamp up there. So continue to parlay that for Canada White. And then Ryerson Edgar, kind of out of nowhere, 10th overall pick to Niagara, and he's been absolutely outstanding. Highlight reel goal Friday or Saturday night where he just went high glove after he danced to defenseman. He is all world right now, so maybe he's the guy that really people were sleeping on in the draft. And so those are my 3 guys from the OHL. And then another one, Blake Chorney, son of former NHLer Taylor Chorney, who's playing in the WHL right now. He'll be representing Canada White as well. So that's a pretty stacked lineup for Canada.
No kidding. Yeah, a lot of exceptional players you mentioned there. And I mean, this kind of does give you not a guarantee, but almost a future look of what, the World Junior team might look like a few years down the road if some of these guys continue to develop on the trajectories that they're on. So it's one of those tournaments I think a lot of Canadian hockey fans probably choose to ignore, but definitely one you should watch if you really want to keep the pulse on who's up and coming and might be some top NHL potential draft talent in addition to being future talent for Team Canada. Of course, there are a few other nations that are involved. Is there anybody else that catches your eye, Adrian, from some of the other countries?
I know there's a few good Swedish players that are up in this draft. I couldn't really pinpoint them for you right now, but the word in the hockey sphere that as I'm reading is they have some talent on that Swedish team, like they always do for such a small nation. So look out for them. But in particular, there's a couple of U.S. kids that really caught my attention. One being Michael Tang, and that name might be familiar for a few players that follow, or for a few fans that follow the GTHL. Michael Tang was the winger on Max DeLille's line last season. So now he's representing the USA, plays for the Madison Capitals in the USHL, has a goal and 5 assists, is projected to go to Harvard. A guy with a really good shot. He likes to score off the rush, and he's got a bigger frame too, slighter build, but likes to score. So that's one guy that I'm watching for USA, Michael Tang. Like I noted, it's going to be funny to see him and DeLille go head-to-head after being line mates for most of last season in the GTHL. And my last guy, he really, his name struck me, and then I did some little research, and I'm like, oh, this guy's actually the best player on Team USA. He's going to captain the team, 6'3", 185 pounds. Number 1 name in the entire tournament, Gunnar Conboy. Gunnar Conboy. Captain, plays for the Green Bay Gamblers, has yet to play a game this season, is headed to the University of Minnesota. Last year, is the captain of his high school team in just grade 10, Lakeville High School in Minnesota. And he led the team in scoring with over 70 points in 24 games. So Gunnar Conboy is going to be that next player coming up the U.S. ranks that everybody should keep an eye on.
We'll check in again in a couple of weeks for the next segment. Good luck moving all the stuff in, and just remember the best part of any move is the beer and pizza that comes after.
It's right. It's already in the fridge.
Well, there you have it. Another episode of the Bear Tracker Weekly Podcast comes to an end, and what a busy episode it was. Thank you so much to all of our guests who joined us this week, including Arien Mousseau, who you just heard from, as well as Dylan Baker, Guelph Storm's new radio play-by-play voice, John Banks and Noah Nelson from the Owen Sound Attack, Assistant Coach Reagan O'Grady, and of course the Media Room Roundtable, Matt, Mark, Spencer. It was great to hear from all of you this week, and it was great for you to join us this week. Thank you so much for listening or watching this on YouTube, wherever you listen or watch. If you're able to, please like and subscribe. Leave comments if you want to. We'll have another episode coming up next week as the Attack are on the road next week. It's going to be their big road trip, first big road trip of the season, They'll be in Windsor to visit Arien Mousseau and the Spitfires on Friday night. Attack then shift across the border to see Saginaw on Saturday and Flint on Sunday. They will be back home, though, the following week, and that is when it's going to be very loud in the Bayshore, I predict. On Wednesday, October 29th, the Attack's next home game is the school day game. Spencer Byers, myself, and our crew were joking that we might all bring earplugs that day because I think the kids are going to be very fired up, both on and off the ice. The young kids that will be in attendance, with so many school kids planning to be there. Looking forward to that game on Wednesday, October 29th against the Sarnia Sting. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next week, and we'll see you at the rink.
The Bear Tracker podcast is produced in association with Blackburn Media from the CKNX studios in Wingham, Ontario. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe at Bear Tracker Pod on social media and wherever you get your podcasts.